Good morning, Year 7. I hope you're well and having a lovely day. Welcome to today's lesson on the poem Mirror. For this lesson, you will need a pen in your book, a copy of the poem, and highlighters and coloured pens. So please could you write the date and the title Mirror. For your do now, I would like you to finish this sentence. When I look into the mirror, I see. So what do you see when you look in the mirror? Pause the video for a couple of moments to finish this sentence. So the poem today is written by Sylvia Plath, one of the, I think, greatest writers of all time. So task 1 is understanding the poem. So let's read it through together. I am silver and exact. I have no preconceptions. Whatever I see, I swallow immediately. Just as it is, unmisted by love or dislike. I am not cruel, only truthful. The eye of a little god, four-cornered. Most of the time, I meditate on the opposite wall. It is pink, with speckles. I have looked at it so long, I think it is a part of my heart. But it flickers. Faces and darkness separate us over and over. Now I am a lake. A woman bends over me, searching my reaches for what she really is. Then she turns to those liars, the candles or the moon. I see her back and reflect it faithfully. She rewards me with tears and an agitation of hands. I am important to her. She comes and goes. Each morning it is her face that replaces the darkness. In me she has drowned a young girl, and in me an old woman rises toward her day after day, like a terrible fish. So who is the speaker? Pause the video to jot down your ideas. So the speaker is the mirror. It is on the wall of a woman's bedroom. We can make this guess because of the colour of the wall, though of course there are men with pink bedrooms, so it is a bit of an assumption, but it is purely a guess. And then towards the end, of course, we find out it is in fact a woman. So every day, the person in the bedroom looks at their reflection and the mirror watches as the woman's face changes as she gets older. At the end of the poem, the mirror describes the woman as looking like a terrible fish. So second task, let's look at the choices the poet has made. Annotate the poem along with me and remember to include your own ideas as well. So we've got personification, making the mirror seem alive and important. So you've got repetition of I am silver and exact. I have no preconceptions. So by giving life to the mirror, by breathing life into it, it really creates an important character in this poem. Repetition of I shows the mirror is focused on itself. It's quite ironic there, isn't it? Because we use mirrors to focus on ourselves, the mirror is focused on itself. You've got a metaphor, eye of a little god, suggesting the mirror is powerful and sees everything. And you've got use of the emotive word heart, suggesting that the mirror doesn't have empathy if it can think the wall is its heart. Now I am a lake. This is a metaphor again, suggesting the woman is peering deeply into the mirror. And you've got a short sentence, I am important to her. It adds confidence to the statement and emphasises it. You've got an extended metaphor, so the same idea of the mirror being a lake is used to connect these final lines. The young girl has drowned into a terrible and is now a terrible fish. So consider, how does that make you feel? It probably makes you feel quite sad for the young girl and a sense of even horror, you might say, at the aging process. So you've got a simile, like a terrible fish, to shock the reader at how ugly the woman is. The adjective terrible emphasizes her ugliness. So what's the message of the poem? The mirror believes growing old is a painful and unhappy process. How far do you agree with this statement? Find at least 2 quotations to support your view. Pause the video to do this now. Now present your ideas fully as an evaluation. I fully, mostly or partially or somewhat agree with the statement because the mirror says something, which means something, so the reader knows something, also anything else. So pause the video now to present your ideas as an evaluation. Okay, so how has the writer presented growing old as a painful and unhappy process? She rewards me with tears and an agitation of hands. In me she has drowned a young girl, and in me an old woman rises toward her day after day, like a terrible fish. I would like you to rewrite the line with different words to present old age as a positive thing. In me she has something, a young girl, and in me an old woman rises towards her day after day like something. Pause the video to do that now. Okay, so you may have written something like, in me she has left behind a young girl, or she has outgrown a young girl, and in me an old woman rises towards her day after day like an old friend, or like a new friend, you could say perhaps. So task 4, growing up has loads of benefits. We talked about this last lesson in the poem Warning, so it's something you should be quite familiar with. What would a mirror on the wall of your home say about you and your family? The last thing I'd like you to do is write a short poem from the point of view of a mirror in your home. Remember to use lots of techniques, like similes, personification, repetition, short sentences, and metaphors. So pause the video for 15 minutes to do that now. And that is the end of today's lesson. Thank you very much for your hard work, and please do write at the end of your work what's been your favourite poem so far. So I think I've really enjoyed Warning, so that's probably one of my favourites, but I did also really enjoy The Identification, and probably my number 1 favourite is actually Midterm Break. I thought that was a really powerful poem. Number 2, The Identification. Number 3, Warning. Number 4, About His Person. So that's my top poems. What have yours been? Okay, so thank you very much, and I'll speak to you next lesson.